Hello all, very good morning. So we were discussing regarding the in-service education, and this is your fifth unit in your nursing management. So here in previous classes we have seen regarding different types of education program. We have seen regarding continuous education program, we have seen regarding the leadership and management development program, we have seen regarding the skill training program, and we have also seen the orientation, what is orientation, everything. And in the above class I have discussed you what is in-service education, what is the staff developmental program, and what are different types of aims, objectives, goals, and definitions of this in-service education. So in today's class, I'm going to discuss you regarding the approaches of in-service education or different types of in-service education. So mainly we have centralized approach, we have decentralized approach, and we have coordinated approach. So first point that we are going to discuss now is centralized in-service education. So what is this centralized in-service education means? Nothing but in centralized approach, a separate nursing department will take the responsibility for improvement of knowledge and skills. So what is centralized means all the things are involved in one roof, and here a separate nursing department is there which is taking the responsibility for the improvement of knowledge as well as skills. Then what do you mean by decentralized approach? Means here the employees are expected to keep administration informed of their own of their activities, and they are expected to develop and direct their own learning experience. So this is what the decentralization means. So it is planned by the employees in the unit by giving care to the patients with these similar conditions. So this is what is called as decentralized approach. So here the employees are expected to keep administration informed whatever they are doing, and they are responsible for to develop their own learning experience. So how they are planned means it is mainly planned by the employees itself. So depending upon the situation, depending upon the similar condition, the decentralized approach is taken down. And what is coordinated approach means? So in coordinated approach, the central administration of nursing personnel is responsible for a broad program in which the importance of all nursing personnel are discussed. So we have centralized, decentralized, and coordinated approach. So we'll see what are the factors that are affecting the in-service education. So first one is cost of healthcare. So first one is what? The cost of healthcare. So conduct of in-service education need what? Additional expenses. So if you want to conduct the in-service education, it is not that simply you can go, you can learn everything from there. No, you need to conduct what? You need to conduct additional things. So you need to have money, you need to have what? Money. So the additional should be taken into the consideration. Even though in in-service education, if you see, even though the in-service education program is improving the capacity, improving the quality of nursing care, you have to take consideration into the means the budget also must be taken into the consideration. And actually we need to see the manpower. Next we need to see what? Manpower. So here in service education it required what? Qualified component personnel. So automatically it is increasing human resource component. Again financial budget is coming into action here. So these are the factors. Next one is standard. So it is very important to maintain the highest standard of nursing practice. And fourth one is organization of nursing department. So what is this organization of nursing department means? Whenever you are providing the in-service education, planned approaches must be taken into consideration. So it should not affect what? The staff availability. It should not affect the workload. It should be well organized, and it should be approached very importantly, neatly and keenly. So this is what the organization of nursing department is. Means if you are not organizing the nursing department exactly, the workload is increasing, the availability of the staff nurse is being decreased. So automatically the quality of nursing care that is provided is decreased. So you are wasting money, you are wasting the standard, you are wasting the time, and you are providing more and more pressure to the nurses. Even instead of increasing quality, you are decreasing the quality here. So these are some of the factors which were influencing the service education. And we have also changes in the nursing practice. So here the frequent changes that are occurring. So if you are changing day by day, week by week, here the nurses are unable to meet to the standard, and the quality is not maintained. The quality is being not maintained. So changes in nursing practice, frequent changes also will affect the in-service education. So what are the characteristics? What are the characteristics of a good in-service education program? Is first one, it is based on real and specific problems of the patient or healthcare workers. And second one is, it involves all personnel in planning. It involves what? All the personnel in planning. And it also increase the participation and cooperation. So the participation as well as cooperation, they should be ensured, and all activities are evaluated continuously, mainly to get what? The feedback. So what are the principles of developing an in-service education? Means here, first one, continuity should be ensured while planning the in-service education program. So it should be a continuous progress. Scientific approach should be adopted. You should always move from simple to complex situation. Directly you should not go and land up in the complex situation. No, you should move from simple to complex situation. It should be flexible. Clear planning is needed. What is needed? Clear planning is needed. So here, success of an in-service education, it depends upon what? Effective planning. Without proper planning, if you're going, if you're entering and if you're doing also, there is no use. There is what? No use. And you should adopt step by step approach. You should adopt what? Step by step approach. So these are all what? Principles of developing an in-service education. So in continuation, we'll see what are the problems of in-service education program. So inappropriate methodology. If the methodology that is taken for the in-service education is not proper, again it is causing a problem. Inadequate training of the trainees. Lack of confidence in the training, means the person who is giving training, he himself doesn't have enough amount of training, so he will teach wrongly. So the entire method is becoming wrong then. Lack of confidence in trainers, even though they are knowledge, even though they are having proper skill, if they lack the confidence, they cannot go further. Inadequate evaluation methods, lack of motivation, lack of interest, lack of management support, lack of proper follow-up, lack of time, inadequate resources, lack of clarity about the organization of the program. So all these are different types of problems in the in-service education. So we'll see what are the benefits of in-service education. So we'll see what are the benefits for employee, what are the benefits for the organization also. Firstly, for the employee, it keeps the employee's enthusiasm in learning. Means always the employee want to learn something, they want to apply in their clinical practice. It develops the interest among the staff members to learn about new things. It develops a sense of responsibility for being knowledgeable and competent. It helps in decision making process through improvement of knowledge and skills. So what it is doing, whenever you are providing in-service education continuously, so interest will come to the patient. They want to learn new things. They want to learn new things in their practice. They want to perform it in their practice. And also to the employee, it improves the sense of responsibility. So when they are knowledge enough, when they are competent enough, if they want to perform any kind of wrong thing, a question will arise in their mind. You should not perform this type of technique. You should not use this type of technique. This will harm the patient. So sense of responsibility. And it also helps them in making decision making process, improvement in their knowledge as well as skills. So it helps the nurse to manage and become of new technologies and practice. It develops leadership skills, it develops motivation, it develops better attitude. So it develops leadership skills, motivation as well as better attitude. And actually it aids in achieving what? Self-confidence. It aids in achieving self-confidence. It helps the employees to upgrade their knowledge and skills and improve the quality of care. It helps the employee to improve the professional practice. What it is helping? It is helping them to improve their professional practice. It helps the employees to keep abreast with the changing techniques and also use sophisticated tools and also to use sophisticated tools and equipment. What it is doing? Sophisticated means more safer tools, more safer equipment. It helps the employees to learn new technique and to maintain the old competences, as I have said in the previous classes. So new techniques can be learned and the old knowledge is there itself. If the new technique is not working, they can go apply their old skill so that the patient is saved there. So here decision making, what to adapt, what to do immediately, what can save the life of a patient, what can improve the quality of a patient, quality of care, they should be taken immediately and they should be applied in your practice. And nextly, equip the nurses with the knowledge of current research and development. We'll see now what are the benefits for the organization. So it will keep the nursing staff enthusiastic in the learning. It will help in developing interest and job satisfaction. Sense of responsibility is being increased, creates an appropriate environment for the growth and as well as for communication. It helps the nurses to make appropriate decision as well as effective problem solving technique. It helps them to adjust according to the change and adapt to the field of nursing. It helps in developing leadership skills. It helps in motivation. It helps in better attitude. Helps in developing self-confidence and self-development. Makes the organization a better place to work. So these are all the benefits for the organization. So here, when the organization is felt by the employee a better place to work, they will try to bring out their 100% efficiency. When they are bringing out the 100% efficiency, the quality of the care can be increased. Now we'll see the planning of in-service education program in an institution. First of all, whenever you are planning an in-service education in an institution, you need to follow, you need to see the needs of the staff. So first of all, we'll list out the points, what are all the things that need to be kept in mind while you are planning an in-service education program. So we have to see the staff needs. So how you can see the staff needs means by the use of suggestion box. So here in an institution, if you go, there will be some kind of suggestion box. There will be some kind of what? Suggestion box. So as you can see here, suggestion box, survey, as well as some kind of questionnaire. So these are the things which are used. These are the things what? Which are used to identify the needs of the staff. In what areas they are facing some kind of problem. In what areas they need some kind of motivation or they need some kind of help. Those areas has to be identified, and whatever the identified things are there, they should be planned for the in-service education program. Next point is establish goals compatible with mission of the organization. And next one is formulate program objectives. What you have to formulate? You have to formulate what? Program objectives. So based on these objectives, all your planning, all your education will be based on. And next one is determine the course of action required to meet the objectives. You have to determine the course of action, the course of plan. So if you have set some kind of objectives in your program, and if you want to achieve those objectives in your program, you should have what? Particular action plan. Whenever you have this particular action plan, then only you can implement this in service education. And nextly, the most and important thing is you have to assess for the available resources. Based on the resources, it could be physical resource, it could be financial, it could be any type of other means. The person who is coming from outside to teach you is also a resource. Your financial status, your physical status, at which setting you're going to teach the faculty or you're going to teach this staff, you have to check in this in-service program. Next one is formulating the committees. You have to formulate committees, and these committees are responsible. These committees are what? Responsible for doing the things. And next one, secure staff assistance. So you have to give assistance to the staff. And next one is plan for evaluation of results of the program. Once the program was done, it is your responsibility to plan and evaluate the program. While you're planning and evaluating the program, then only you know to up to what extent the program which was laid had been succeeded. So these are all the things that need to be kept when you are planning for an in-service educational program. Now we'll see steps in developing an in-service educational program. What are the steps that are there while you are developing an in-service educational program? The first step is what? Assessment. Second step is planning. Third one is implementation, and fourth one is what? Evaluation. So in assessment, you have to assess everything: participant resources, community, and what are all the professional needs that are there for this in-service education. In planning, you have to select your objectives, you have to select your participant, you have to select your method, and also you have to select your content. In implementation phase, so here the participant program recording is taking place, and in evaluation, here you are taking the participant program follow-up. What you are doing in implementation phase means here whatever the staff are selected for this in-service education program, so you are taking their participation. In evaluation, you are taking their follow-up. So these are all different kinds of steps that were involved in developing in-service education. Now we'll discuss each one of these: assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation step by step. So why do you need assessment? So here, this one is the primary step in the in-service education. What is the need? What is the exact need for the educational needs of nurses can be known through this assessment. So here, for analyzing the needs of the nurse administrator, she can contact the employees personally, or she can use what? Survey method, or analyze the records or reports, or through evaluation, or through performance appraisal, or through the quality of care that is being provided by the particular hospital, she can assess the nurse's condition there. So once again I'll repeat you. So this one is the primary step. In order to know the knowledge of the nurses, in order to know their capacity, in order to know their need, she can go and talk to them personally. That is one thing. Or also she can obtain the data. She can collect the data in different kinds of ways: through survey, through questionnaire, through analyzing the records which were already being done, through checking the reports, through evaluating, through performance appraisal, through checking the quality of care that is being provided, she can assess the patient. So after analyzing the needs, whenever you are analyzing the needs, you know what are the deficient areas. You know what are the deficient areas, in what areas you have to pick up. So what we will do here means we will develop goals and objectives of the in-service education program. Then we will formulate a criteria, we will plan accordingly, the course of action will be kept there, and we have to meet those objectives. So this is what we do in the assessment. Mainly we are collecting the data, we are analyzing the data, we are formulating our objectives, designing and planning. So here, what is this design and planning means? Who is responsible here? The administrator is responsible for planning and deciding the training method. So there are different types of training method that can be used. There are different types of training methods that can be used. So they can be workshops, they can be conferences, they can be seminars. As we are discussing, this is an extensive education: workshop, conferences, and seminars. So you have to attend by yourself. No institution is going to say you. So they will say you so and so place, the so and so seminar is going on. If you're interested, you can go and attend. So you have to go and attend this. So we can conduct workshops, we can conduct conferences, we can conduct seminars, through which the knowledge of the staff is increased. The organizer, he has to develop what? Learning objectives, and he has to plan the program schedule. He is the person who has to fix the time, who has to fix the venue, and he is the person who has to deal with the consultation as well as the management. So the administrator is responsible for the resource persons. Means here, whenever you are planning and designing, you have an objective, and this objective has to be met by someone has to come here and someone has to teach you, correct or not? So whenever someone has to come here and someone has to teach you, means the person who is coming, the resources, the other person who is going to teach you, he should be competent enough, and he should be able to fulfill the educational objective. So he should be first of all capacitative, means he should be first of all capable of dealing with the objectives that need to be met by the other staff. The venue, it should have all physical facilities. It means physical facilities, it includes what? Particular sitting, particular equipment, particular methods of teaching. It should be probable for everyone. Good air, good ventilation, everything should be taken into the consideration. Next one, it should have proper transportation facilities, and facilities they should meet what? The basic needs. You should provide the basic needs for the staff, and also we have to develop resource or material, and we have to arrange all teaching learning activities for the conduct of this in-service education program. So this is what is present in design and planning. So we have seen the assessment, we have seen the design and planning. Now we'll see the implementation phase. So what is this implementation phase? Nothing but here in this implementation phase, whatever you are assessing in the assessment method, whatever your planning is done in the planning step, all those things are kept into implementation. All those things were kept into what? Implementation. So here it involves what? Conduct of actual teaching learning session. It is what we are doing, we are conducting the actual teaching and learning session, and also we are ensuring that all the planned sessions are implemented properly, mainly to achieve the goals of in-service education. So what is our goal? Means in order to bring out the deficiencies, in order to fulfill the deficiencies in the staff. So in implementation phase, we make sure that whatever the need is there, it is being met by the sisters and as well as the brothers or the nurses who are taking the in-service education. And ongoing evaluation is very important. If there is any area that need to be evaluated, if there is any area that need to be improved little more, by going through ongoing evaluation, you can improve your objectives, you can improve the course of action, and the outcome will be in a good manner. Next one is evaluation. So what is this evaluation? Means nothing but, so once the in-service education is done, once the in-service education is done, you are it is your responsibility as an administrator to see whether the teaching objectives were met or not. If any objectives are not being met, you have to re-evaluate the program, you have to restart the program and make sure that what changes need to be done in the course of action plan, and you have to change accordingly and be sure that the objectives are met by the staff. So here evaluation is an essential part of what? In service education. It is necessary to identify the extent to which the objectives are being achieved and need for the improvement, and it can be done by the establishment of what? Evaluation criteria. So how you can evaluate this criteria? Means if you go to research, in experimental research design, we have different types, of designs. So we have pre-test and post-test design. So this pre-test and post-test design, pre-test means before you are conducting any kind of, means if before you are teaching them anything. So what is their knowledge? Post-test means after you have done, after your course of plan was implemented, then you are going for the after test. So pre-test and post-test, this will give you clear-cut evaluation of the program, whether it is succeeded or not. So after we are conducting the evaluation program, we are going for analyzing the information and we are collecting the deficiencies. So we will focus on the areas which need to be redone and we will do accordingly. So this is what included in the steps of developing an in-service education program. So we have assessment, we have planning, we have implementation, and we have evaluation. Now we'll see the conditions for the success of in-service program. So first one is, it must be a plan and it must be what? Systematic. It must be planned and it must be systematic. And second one, it must be based on the organizational philosophy. It must be based on what? Organizational philosophy. It must be realistic with approval and support of administration. So what is this administration? Means this is the thing which is providing you what? The financial support, the physical setting, the resources, everything. So it should be approved, it should be realistic, and it should have attendance and participation of personal concern. Means nothing but the nurses or the staff who are recruited, who are included in this in-service education program, they should have what? Proper attendance as well as proper participation. Next one is proper arrangement of welfare nurses. These are all the conditions. So we'll see how to promote participation. Means we should develop what? Awareness. What is the importance of attending this in-service education program and what are the benefits? If you put out the benefits in front of the staff, automatically they will show interest and they will come and participate. Next one is involve staff in all kinds of activities. So it is your responsibility to do what? To involve the staff in all kind of activities. And next one, you should use motivation, but you should not manipulate them. Whenever you are motivating, they will try to come and attend. If you are manipulating, if they find out that something which is going on here is not appropriate for them, or if they are not interested, again it will become an issue. So you have to use motivation, not manipulation. Next one is reward system. So this reward system will automatically provide, means it will automatically promote what? Participation. So positive in nothing but positive reinforcement by holding the appraisal program. So for example, if somebody is giving an answer in the classroom, whenever I am asking the question, what I have to do? I have to apprise them. If I make them if I make everybody to clap their hands, automatically next time she will feel little proud and she will try to give the answer more and more and more. If I'm scolding her, what she will do? She won't give the answer back again. Even though she knows the answer, she will sit like that and she will they will stare at us like they don't know anything. So this reward system is very important. It could be anything. So positive reinforcement will be there whenever you are giving this reward system. So this is how you can promote what? Participation. Next one is how to prepare the report. So how you can prepare a report? Nothing but first of all, whenever you are preparing a report, you have to use the date and time and duration of the in-service education program. Who is the coordinator and who are the resource persons you have to list out. What is the purpose of the topic? Who are the group individuals? What is their qualification? How many number of individuals are participating in the session? And we have to plan what is the plan of the in-service education program. And you have to evaluate. How you can evaluate means mainly knowledge, attitude, skills based on the program. And last thing, nothing but you have to brief. So to whom you have to brief means to the higher authority. You have to brief what are all the things that are being done, what are all the results that can be expected, or everything should be recorded and they should be submitted to the higher authority. This is how you can prepare a report. And the success of the program, it will depend on your recording and reporting also. How you are recording, how you are reporting to the higher authority. Next one, we are going to discuss methods of in-service education program. So what are different types of methods can be taken place? So demonstration, simply you can show the procedure. Conference, classroom observations, committee, field trip, role playing, panel discussion and workshop. These are all what? These are all some of the teaching methods. These are all what? Some of the teaching methods. So you can teach through demonstration. Simply you can demonstrate in front of them. You can make them to attend any kind of conferences, or you can make them sit in a classroom and observe the method. Committees, field trip, you can take them to the directly to the situation and you can show them. Role playing, they will play their role, means each person is assigned a role here and they will play. Whenever they are playing, they will realize. And next one is panel discussion. Panel discussion means nothing but all the individuals who are sitting there, they will be governed by a higher authority person who is having great knowledge regarding the particular subject, and he is going to moderate the session. Everybody are going to discuss what are all the important points that can be taken into the consideration, will be taken into consideration. Remaining, they will be left like that. And next one is workshop. Evaluation of in-service education program. So how you can evaluate the in-service education program means, first of all, so this you should know what is evaluation. It is a process of determining the degree of achieving the predetermined objectives. Up to what extent the objectives that were set by you has been met or not. So what are all the evaluation methods? Questionnaires, interviews, and the next one is observation of behavior in-service education program. Through questionnaires means what are all the objectives that were planned, whatever the things that were taught to you during the in-service education program will be maintained, will be made as a questionnaire and they will be given unto you and you are expected to give the answers. And through interviews also means direct face to face, it could be like phone call method. They can take interview at any cost and they will evaluate up to what extent your knowledge has been increased. And next one is observation of behavior. So how you are behaving. So what is the attitude before the program has started? What is the attitude after the discussion has been made in the in-service program? So this is how you can evaluate the program. Now we'll quickly see a sample in-service educational plan. So how you can plan? I'm going to brief you. It will be less than like 5 minutes. First you have to keep a date. Then you have to write the duration. It could be 60 minutes, it could be 40 minutes, it could be 45 minutes. So whatever the time you have to see. Then you have to mention the setting. So it could be lecture hall or maternity ward. Who are the participant? Staff nurses. What is the teaching method that is being used? Lecture and discussion. It is presented by so and so person. So what is the topic? Role of nurses in prevention of HIV or AIDS and in providing comprehensive care to the positive mothers. So what are the objectives here? So you have to, first objective is at the end of the session the participants will be able to do what? So main objective is to improve the knowledge. So in what areas you can improve the knowledge means apply what? Knowledge of HIV AIDS and its prevention and comprehensive care at the end of the session. So recognize the role of nurses as a team member towards the HIV care, provide care to the HIV patient with confidence. Means whenever you hear a person is positive patient, you will feel little guilty or you will feel little fear to go and give treatment to the particular patient. No, you should not feel like that. You should have proper confidence. If you follow proper technique, you can be save, you can save yourself, and also you can save the other person also. Next one, apply or utilize various HIV prevention interventions. Follow infection control standard precautions for the prevention of HIV. Utilize knowledge in providing the patient education and counseling, and she can plan comprehensive care and will be confident in what decision making and providing care to the particular patient, and guide the mothers related to prevention of parent-child transmission of HIV/AIDS. So these are all our objectives. Our topic is what here, role of nurses in the prevention of HIV/AIDS and providing what? Comprehensive care. Providing what? Comprehensive care. So as you can see here, these are all what? These are all the objectives. These are all what? These are all the objectives. So in next slide, we'll see what are all the sample topics that can be taken place in service education in a hospital. So these are all some of the samples. Drug calculation can be taking place, fluid electrolyte imbalances, anaphylaxis. So nobody has complete knowledge. So your education program can be regarding records and reports and team nursing, phlebitis assessment. It could be basics in ECG. It could be pediatric nursing assessment or IV calculation or dehydration assessment. It could be like management of emergency conditions, burn. It could be equipment handling. It could be biomedical waste management. So all these are the samples that can be taken. So what is the conclusion here? The main purpose of the in-service education program. You can take note of these programs. So all these are what? These are all some of the topics that can be taken into the consideration for in-service education. Screenshot those. So what is the conclusion? The main purpose of in-service education program is to provide what? Educational activities of all nurses employed by the healthcare agency. Mainly to what? Means they are directed towards the change in behavior related to their role as well as expectations. Related to role as well as what? Expectations. So in-service education program, it must be concerned with the growth and development of personnel from the initial contact with the healthcare agency until the termination of services. So this is the conclusion for in-service education. Means what is this in-service education? You have to see what is the deficiency in the particular staff, in what areas they need to be trained, in what areas they need to be improved. So once you are doing the assessment, you will know what can be assessed, means what can be taken into the consideration for the in-service education plan. You can plan accordingly. You can conduct seminars or discussion method or classroom method or observation method, role play, anything you can plan. You can get permission from the authority. You can check your resources. You can conduct in-service education program. Ultimately, you have to do the pre-test as well as post-test, and you have to check the knowledge level. You have to check the knowledge level whether the service program that has been conducted is succeeded or not. With this, I would like to end the session here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, please like, share and subscribe. If you have any queries, please drop them in the comment box. I will try to rectify them. Thank you so much.